Chicago, like most big cities, has its fair share of unsolved crime. And in most of these cases, somebody saw or heard something. It could be a suspicious person, a car driving away from the scene, or simply overhearing somebody talking about the case. With your help, we can put these criminals behind bars where they belong. Here in Chicago, we have too many unsolved murders. We need your help. In these cases, the police department is only as strong as the citizens that get involved. Oftentimes, all the detectives need is a tip, a start. Somebody to call in and say, I saw something. Any little information that you know can be the impetus to solve the entire case. On tonight's episode, we'll be taking a look at the case of Terrence Thompson. In November 2012, just a few days after Thanksgiving, 24-year-old Terrence Thompson was talking on the phone with his mother just outside the Woodlake Village Apartments in Gary, Indiana. 30 minutes later, his mother received the tragic news that Terrence had been fatally shot. Here's his story.
I had him September the 4th, 1988. He was my pride and joy. He was my everything. He used to just go everywhere with me. I couldn't depart with him. I had a sister that thought that he was her baby doll.
We was 10 years apart, so it's like I always treated him like a baby, pushed him around in the stroller, played with him, changed him.
Terrence Thompson was a regular, fun-loving guy and was known as the practical joker in the family.
He used to play the jokes with us in the kitchen with the sprinkler on the sink, put the rubber band around it, and then when you cut it on, the water will come out.
My mom and dad used to take us down south. We'd be in the car for hours. Whoever fall asleep, we'll put tissue all in their face.
He was a hard worker, on time, loved to work. He'll do extra work if he had to.
He was working as a landscaper and was a huge White Sox fan. In his free time, he'd often watch games with his father and other family members.
He'll watch it on TV sometime with his dad. They'll be in here hollering and making bets.
Terrence also found out that he was going to be a father and was in the process of interviewing for a job that was going to enable him to take care of his new son.
My youngest, he would like play little silly games, so how he would swing her around, throw up in the air and catch her, have her hollering and screaming. I could just imagine it now.
His girlfriend, she had other babies before. They had their baby and they was his babies. He didn't make a difference with the babies. They was his. It was a set of twins, but one of them passed and one of them lived. She looks just like him. If you see her, you'll be like, that's his baby.
On November 24, 2012, approximately 11:15 p.m., I was in the 911 dispatch center obtaining some information on an unrelated case when I overheard a dispatcher talking about a child that had been shot. When I arrived at the scene was secured by the patrol officers. Further information obtained indicated that 2 other individuals had been shot as well, bringing the total number of victims to 3 at the location of 598 South Vigo Place in Gary, Indiana. Our deceased is Terrence Thompson. Mr. Thompson was laying outside The second victim was inside the apartment, and the third victim was also inside an adjacent apartment.
Parents don't expect that. We do not expect that. And he was just 24.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On November 24th, 2012, at approximately 11:14 p.m., Gary Police Department received a 911 call indicating that a small child had been shot. Further information obtained indicated that 2 other individuals had been shot as well, bringing the total number of victims to 3.
Terrance had visited with his parents earlier that week and spoken to them for a while, and nothing seemed wrong or unusual.
We saw him 5 days before he passed. My husband was asleep. I said, don't wake Pops up. Pops will see you when you come back out here next time. No, Mama, I can wake Pops up.
On the night of November 24th, Terrance was out with one of his cousins in Gary, Indiana.
I was sick. So I was like, no, just wait till in the morning and I'll get up and cook y'all some breakfast and stuff. So he called me that night at 10:15. We were just talking. Mama, we gonna go get something to eat and everybody go in the house. I said, oh, okay. We talked from 10:15 to 10:34.
After a brief phone conversation with his mother, Terrance noticed that his cousin had gotten into an argument with a group of young men.
There was multiple people that were with Mr. Thompson at the time. Across the hall there was also a small gathering where the female victim and several of her friends had gathered, and they met with the 3 suspects. And at some point, someone inside the apartment decided that the male suspects should leave the apartment. And as they were exiting the apartment, that's when they crossed paths with Mr. Thompson. And as the 3 males were exiting the apartment building, there was a small confrontation, not a physical confrontation, but more of a verbal confrontation with Mr. Thompson and some of his friends.
Terrance got between them in an attempt to de-escalate the situation, and it seemed to have worked. One of the young men pulled out a handgun and began firing wildly at the crowd.
The persons that were shooting were standing at the apartment door. When you walk up to the apartment, you have to be buzzed in, so it's a controlled access area. He was shooting in the specific area where the males were standing at, and where the female had just exited the apartment as well.
11 o'clock, I got a call from Nikki, his girlfriend at the time. She like, Mama, he got shot. But I didn't know who he was because there was a lot of them out there for Thanksgiving weekend.
Was there more than one?
She like, Mom.
My sister had called my boyfriend phone saying he got shot.
Mr. Thompson had went back into the apartment and collapsed shortly after entering into the apartment. Several of his friends tried to carry him out to the car to get him medical attention.
When we got to the complex in Indiana, because it was a huge complex, just saw a lot of lights, a lot of people. I knew it was bad because I was just trying to figure out why are we at this complex instead of the hospital.
To make matters worse, 2 children were struck during the shooting. A 16-year-old girl was shot in the abdomen and a 10-year-old boy was shot in his hand in his apartment when a bullet went through the wall.
The juvenile that was shot inside the apartment, the male juvenile and the female juvenile, were transported to a local hospital for treatment. Unfortunately, Mr. Thompson passed away at the scene.
So I told my husband, I said, when we get out here, he gonna be gone. He said, what you mean? I said, he didn't want to tell me over the phone, but we done lost our baby.
I saw my sister outside and she was crying, and I kept thinking, like, this not my nephew on this ground.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On November 24th, 2012, at approximately 11:14 p.m., Gary Police Department received a 911 call for help indicating that a small child had been shot. Further information obtained indicated that 2 other individuals had been shot as well, bringing the total number of victims to 3. As officers responded to 598 South Vigo Place, they encountered the victim, Terrence Thompson, deceased in the grassy area of the apartment complex.
A couple of his cousins that was out there, they came up to me. They like, auntie, he gone. And I just stood there behind the yellow tape.
Based on what information we received, it was basically looking. One group didn't like the way the other group looked at the other group, and somebody made a phrase of, let's get turned up in here. And that's pretty much what set the shooting off.
My sister walked up to me and she was telling me it's okay because it was just really bad for me, even though it was her son. I kept on saying, maybe it's not him. Maybe it's not him.
That was the worst day of my life. Because I was hoping that I would go out there and bring him back home, but I knew he was gone when we got out there.
It's residential apartments. There's some residential homes back in the area, but the area specifically where the homicide took place is all apartment buildings. Typically when officers respond on scene, they're faced with a chaotic situation. They're there to maintain order and to try to establish who is injured, who needs help, and to try to maintain a scene perimeter. Their job is to locate evidence, locate witnesses, and to cordon off the area and to assist the investigation.
Detective Gonzalez spoke to witnesses, canvassed the area.
Unfortunately, the 8-year-old was inside of his apartment, so he didn't really witness who shot him. He was shot through the door. The other witnesses who were standing in the hallway at the time were interviewed, and they provided additional information as far as who the shooters were. There was evidence to indicate that there was fire from a semi-automatic handgun. At this point, we believe that there was 3 suspects on scene, possibly 2 of them shooting weapons that night. All the shooting was centralized in the main door area that leads up to the stairs and to the adjacent apartments.
He was my firstborn. He was my everything. You saw me, you saw him.
It was so unreal. I just felt like I wasn't even myself. I just couldn't believe it. I was angry and I was so hurt. It's like I felt like it could have been my son, you know, we was that close.
It was kind of late at night at that point, so there was not a whole lot of people that actually witnessed what happened other than the people that were directly involved in the incident. There may have been other witnesses that may have looked out the window and seen subjects fleeing or heard the shooting and seen someone running, but that actually witnessed the shooting, there were, other than the original ones, no.
And it's hard on the family. It's just hard. It's hard losing a son and then losing a child to violence, senseless violence about nothing.
Hi, I'm Lisette Guillen from Case Files Chicago, and we like to feature your case on our show. If you know of an unsolved homicide from the Chicago area, our team wants to help you close the case. Please visit our website at www.casefileschicago.com. While you're there, you can also view our database of unsolved murders that need your assistance. Only by working together can we solve these crimes and help heal our city. Thank you, Chicago, and stay safe.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On November 24th, 2012, at approximately 11:14 p.m., the Gary Police Department 911 Center received a dispatch call for multiple gunshot victims located at 598 South Vigo Place. Initially reported was a small child had been shot. Further information obtained indicated that 2 other individuals had been shot as well, bringing the total number of victims to 3. As the officers responded to the location, they encountered the deceased subject by the name of Terrence Thompson, shot and injured in the grassy area of the parking lot of the apartment complex.
It's hard losing a son than losing my son how I lost him.
I've never experienced nothing like that, and then someone so close, and then for him to get shot, and I knew the type of person he was.
Someone knows what happened. Now we need that person to come forward so we can get justice for Terrence Thompson and his family.
Terrence Thompson's mother, Melody Harris, frequently calls me asking for an update on her case. Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide her with the closure that she deserves, and we're asking that anyone that has information to please step forward with that information at this time. Also, for the 2 other victims, especially the young, innocent little boy who was shot while sitting in the comfort of his own home.
You've damaged a family for life. My nephew didn't deserve it. I mean, it's been a while, but the pain is still there.
Me and my husband, we his voice. We gotta talk for him and fight this battle for him until they catch him.
Sitting in the comfort of his own home.
Damn it. We deserve to find out what happened to him, and you should be punished. I don't have no sympathy for them just because it's years later. It still hurts the same for me.
At this time, we're looking for 3 male subjects, described as one being 5'9", light skin, with a scar near his right eye. He was last seen wearing a black coat, blue jeans, a black skull cap. The second suspect was described as being tall, dark-skinned, male black, with braids, wearing a black coat. The third suspect was described as being 5'3" in height, brown skin, little beady eyes, small black skull cap. All 3 suspects fled the scene after the shooting. The second suspect was described as being tall, dark-skinned, male black.
It would mean a lot for us to be able to go to court and they get they time and sentence. I don't know if it would ease the pain, because the pain would still be there, because we would have memories of him all the time, but we might feel a little bit better if they was caught and prosecuted.
In all this time, I just feel like I know in all this time someone's talking. Someone should just say something. And they need to just think about if it was their family. Even if they don't want to say their name, somebody knows something. One little lead can lead up to another lead that can lead up to another lead. She has the right to know.
Here's a situation where somebody fired a gun wildly into a crowd, striking innocent victims. We need to make our neighborhoods safer. We need to make our communities safer, and we can only do it through the public's help.
At this point, we're looking for anyone who may have witnessed it or has information related to this investigation. We're asking them to call the Lake County Metro Homicide Division at 219-755-3855. Ask for Detective Edward Gonzalez. You can remain anonymous. We're just asking for any information to help further this investigation at this point.
You know, I just want them to be responsible for what they did and just be men and just come forward.
Division at 219-755. That's 219. To me directly, Alice.
I wish I could just give you one last hug and one last kiss. That would be everything to me. I miss my baby so much. Be men and just come forward.
That's 219.
What?
The cases featured on tonight's episode remain unsolved, and we need your help. If you have any information on tonight's episode or any of the cases featured on the show, please give the detectives a call. We need our communities to come together so we can take back our streets and make our neighborhoods safe again.